Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Are you ready? We are here to talk profitable, powerful publicity. I am super excited to have Dr. Richard Kaye join us. How are you doing this fine afternoon for me? Just about noon for you?
Yeah, it's after one here. It's a gorgeous day, blue skies. It's awesome.
And where are you joining us from?
I am in Taos, New Mexico, and people say, "Oh yeah," they don't know where it is. I say it's 5 hours south of Denver. They don't know where that is. Southwest.
I'm like, I know I've heard of the state of New Mexico and I
Right,
kind of
right.
know where it's at.
Yeah, when I got into this business of business building and development, and still people say, "Hey, it's in Pacific time, it's Central, and there's Eastern." I said, "There's a whole quarter of the state you're missing. It's called Mountain Time, or the country. It's Mountain Time." So yeah,
There's just not a lot of people in those mountainous regions, though.
well, it's 5,000 people in this town. So yeah,
Nice, nice. It's just a tiny bit smaller than Tampa, where we're coming in from.
just a little bit. Yeah.
Though we're not here to talk about geography, we're here to talk a little bit about profitable, powerful publicity. So, other than the P's trying to get my tongue going, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Tiffanie, ladies and gentlemen, one of the fastest ways to grow your business, no matter what your business is to have people know that you're out there. And that's called publicity. Tiffanie, I'll share a story with you. When I started my chiropractic practice, I drove from New York to San Diego, 300 chiropractors in town. How do you start a business or how do you grow a business? I got an article, I got on a morning television talk show for about a year. I got an article in the San Diego Tribune, an article in the Los Angeles Times. And here's what I call the pivot point. I get a phone call one day from a producer of the ABC News. She said, in essence, "We're seeing you, we're hearing about you." Now I have a 6:30 news segment. Then I got a similar phone call from a PBS producer. "Who are you? We're seeing you, we're hearing you, you're all over the place." Now I got a PBS segment about me. I was no longer one of the crowd. I was probably the most visible chiropractor in San Diego at the time. And then shortly after that, I shut my practice. I already owned 80 acres in Taos, moved out here, started working with entrepreneurs. The point is, you want people to know about you. Publicity builds your credibility. So people say, "I've heard your name, I choose you." That's what publicity is about, Tiffanie.
I love that. And you made a little mention of being in a crowded field because I talk to people frequently, and either A, they're like, "It's so crowded, there's nothing I can do," or B, they're like, "I'm so good, there is no competition." And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
but other people don't know that, do they? So,
exactly.
how, two very extremes on how people feel about publicity. So, before we get into how do we do this, what do you say to those two different groups of people?
For the person who says, "There's too many people here," go find something else to do. Every field is crowded. For the person who says, "I'm so good, I don't need," there were two spa companies here, and I don't mean massage, I mean, water-filled spas. And one of them was advertising all the time, Wolfgang Spa Works. The other company left town, and as Wolfgang would tell the story, this was many years ago, his wife said, "Honey, we're the only company in town. We don't have to advertise."
Mm.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now they're back advertising and letting people know who they are. It's called top of mind awareness. Does not make a difference what you do. Coca-Cola is probably the most widely consumed drink on the planet. Let's not get into whether it's good or bad for you.
Not the conversation.
Have a conversation here. You always see ads for them. You always see marquees. You always see billboards. It's top of mind awareness, no matter where you play.
So, a lot of the people watching this, entrepreneurs, are pretty small in their business. They don't have a marketing department, they don't have a publicity department. They're kind of like sometimes even still, swinging the hammer or doing the adjustments. So,
Yeah.
how do we begin, even if we're smaller, to create publicity for us, for ourselves?
Yeah. I was a single chiropractor. And, yeah, I was still swinging the hammer. The office had just been built out, literally. And I started looking for how to get out into the world. Go speak, whether it's Rotary. As a matter of fact, my wife is a member of Rotary here, and I've been invited to speak there. It doesn't make a difference. Get out, let people know who you are, show up in the society, contribute to your community, be visible. And when you go out and speak, learn how to speak, please. Don't get up there with ums and uhs and ahs. That's one of the things we do. We teach people how to be present and how to convey a message. And there's a big distinction. There are people in the field in every business, well, particularly the business that you and I are in, which is business growth, who will teach you to sell and take money, basically. It's all about money. In our business, in our company, Top Talent Agency, it's about enrolling people, attract and enroll. You don't have to sell hard. That's an old model. It used to work. Envision the old, typical, stereotypical used car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work anymore. It didn't work then, works even less now. Get in the community. When you go out, have someone video. And if you can, get at least 2 cameras. Get someone to video you. And, where you are, go to university. Find some students, pay them to come in. They'll get school credit. You'll get some good video and create what is called a speaker's reel. Have them edit it, title it, put sound under it, and then you can send that to potential venues for you to speak. That's one way. It's an inexpensive way, Tiffanie.
What if somebody says, I don't like to speak in public, and my business really, okay, I could see how chiropractors could work because you could do a segment on that. I see how speakers could work because, you're already speaking anyway. What if they're feeling A, scared of speaking, and B, like, what would I even speak on? That's not the kind of business I have.
I cannot imagine, and I can imagine people being scared of speaking. I cannot imagine a business that anyone can get up and speak about.
Yeah.
Decades ago, when I was in San Diego, there was a guy who spoke about diesel engines. That was his business. There was a guy who came to speak about concrete. Every single business has a story, and I don't mean the individual, I mean the structure of the business. HVAC, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, fuel economy. Everyone has a story. Every business can have a story. To get over the fear of speaking, go join, Toastmasters. Get coaching and mentoring. It has been said that people would rather die than get up in front of an audience and speak. I just can't say get over it. Train, learn, speak to small groups to start, and invite the feedback and be open to it.
Yeah, I think the feedback is important because it's how do we get better? And if not everybody's willing to do it, but videoing yourself, I made huge strides, I felt, early on in my speaking career by videoing myself. Now, the equipment was a little different back then. It wasn't quite as easy as let's just grab our phone and video us. But I picked up a lot of things that I was doing that I shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
And it's like, oh.
And be your own harshest critic. Take a look and say, man, that sucks. Man, that was good. And get a friend who will be honest with you, because you don't want someone just to blow smoke and say, oh, you were great. No, you want them to say, that sucked. Try this way, try this way, try this way.
Well, maybe a combination of you were great at this and these areas could use a little bit of help.
And, Tiffanie, that's a brilliant statement. One of the expressions that I use, which I got from a colleague of mine, and we do this nobody wants to be, critiqued. It's positive criticism. No, it's criticism. The language that works for many people is very gentle. What worked for me? Now, that's not what worked. It's what worked for me. It's my opinion.
Right.
What didn't work for me was, again, it's just, this is how I receive it and what, in my opinion, can be done better. So you're being thoroughly honest with people, and it's your perspective, because someone else may say that was great and you say, no, it wasn't so great. We all have our own perspectives.
That is a good point. And you mentioned Toastmasters, and I know they have Toastmasters clubs around the world. It is an amazing place to go to work on your speaking skills. I'm curious, have you played around with Udly at all?
Never heard of it, so the answer is no.
All right. Udly is Toastmasters as an AI for virtual presentations.
Wow.
And It's an early thing. They've been out for probably less than a year. However, it does things like count your ums and ahs. How fast are you speaking? I'm trying very hard to slow down. I always joke, I've got my little turtle up here to remind me to slow down because I'm speaking like 190, 195 words a minute, which is a bit much.
Tiffanie, I'm from New York. You're slow.
However, I get not everybody listens as fast. So
That's a
it
good way
gets
of putting
cool
it.
stuff. So that's another place that you can check out if you are wanting to work on your speaking skills. So we've got the one avenue that we can do speaking.
And there's another very profound way, and that is to have a book. Now, a couple of years ago, there were 30 to 40 books released every single month. These days, Tiffany, you ready for this? 7,500 books released every single day. How do you stand out from the crowd?
That's a lot of books.
Yeah, that's a lot of books. If you choose to have a book, there are three basic kinds of publishers: the big houses, the Randoms, the Putnams. They own you. And if they take you on, they're going to ask, what's your marketing budget? Tiffany, you, me, everyone watching, you can go on and publish a book on your own. Where's the marketing? That's what is important. I was on the phone with a client a couple of hours ago. Her book's number 11,000. Nobody's going to find it. What we do is we will help you ghostwrite if you don't have one. We'll edit it. We'll lay it out. We split test the covers so the cover is attractive to a consumer, and guarantee number one in multiple categories. We were just at a conference last weekend. It wasn't ours. We were participating in it. We called one of our clients up and released her book right there. In a short time, she had 300 sales. Now, if your name's John Grisham, that may not be a big number. Tiffany, to you and me, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a real short story. The woman who is now my wife writes books that are fairy tales. So kids have emotional intelligence. They love themselves, so they don't go and shoot up bowling alleys like killed people. Before we met, she had spent over $200,000 trying to get her message out to the world. A couple of publishers, virtually nothing. She came to our company. Then we met and got married. She's not. Yeah, that's a nice client.
That's a unique and amazing situation. That just happens sometimes.
She's now a #1 best-selling author in multiple categories. She's a columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune. She's been featured in USA Today. People get out into the world. She got a call from the University of New Mexico here, said, hey, Angela, we're seeing you. Now she's adjunct faculty at UNM. That's what happens, like what happened to my practice. That's what can happen to you when people know you and they see you. That builds publicity, builds your credibility, builds your bottom line.
Love it, love it, love it. Yes. So we've got a couple options. So far, we can get out there and speak. We can do a book. Do you have one more you want to give us before we begin to wrap up on how we might be able to create some publicity?
Yeah, very good question. Number 3, get on radio programs. Tiffany, you've got probably a dozen talk shows out there. Find one you like. Listen to it. Now, when I did this, I had to go through the yellow pages. If you don't even bother with the host. They're the talking head. Find the producer of the program. Write them not why you should be on the program. Tiffany, when I approached you about being on your program, I didn't tell you what I do. I told you what your audience is going to get out of this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what you want to pitch people. Nobody cares about you. They don't care about Tiffany. They don't care about me. We all want one thing. Why me? Tell me what I'm going to get out of it. As a matter of fact, in a little while, I'm going to give you a gift, and it's called, in my case, it's Top 10 Reasons People Listen to Dr. Richard Kaye. I'm going to give you a template for that. You can model that. So when you pitch the show, talk about what the audience is going to get and why you're the right person. And don't give them every contact you've got. I mean, today you can list 42 different, all the different things. Make it easy for them to find you. Now, one more thing with this, and then I'll close this. Watch this. A typical talk show has 3 guests an hour. I'm just going to run through this quickly. Typical 3 guests an hour. Typical 3 shows, 3 hours. These kinds of stations typically have 3 different programs a day for that. 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. For anyone who wants to do math, that's 6,750 people they need as a guest every single year. They need you more than you need them. Before you do it, learn how to speak, learn how to stay with the camera. If it's radio, you don't have to worry about that. If it's television, look at the host or the camera, be present, short answers. There's a lot more to that, Tiffanie. I know we're bumping up.
Yeah. I was talking to Dr. Richard before, and it's like, okay, 2, 3, 5 hours. What are we going to do? Because there is just so much. Though y'all know I like to give you bite-sized pieces. We're going to start calling them KISS. Keep it short and strategic. So we've actually got 3 very strategic things that we can be doing here today. Now, let's say that, like many entrepreneurs who are wearing too many hats, it's like, this sounds brilliant, and I'm never going to do it myself. So tell us a little bit about the agency.
Fortunately, we're here to do that. The president of our agency, David Fagan, many of you may have heard of J. Conrad Levinson Guerrilla Marketing. David was CEO of that organization, where they sold 23 million books in 62 languages around the world. He knows a little bit about publishing. Actually, he knows a lot about publishing. And when he left his Beverly Hills boutique firm and then moved to Arizona to create Top Talent Agency, and we've been working together for several years, you need people who know. Tiffanie, we all know the expression, and you know the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Is that correct? You've heard that?
I've heard that before, yes.
It is true. There's a higher order of that. It's who knows you. It's who knows you. We can get articles in places that, well, yeah, other people can do. We do it consistently because they know us. If I call the owner of the LA Tribune, he picks up the phone because my name shows up. It's who knows you. You want to get out there so that people know you. I know who the president of the United States is. Politics aside, I don't care what you believe in. He hasn't a clue who I am. He couldn't care less. It's the people who get to know you. And how do they get to know you? That's what publicity is. And that's what we do for people. We get you in magazines. We get you interviewed on NASDAQ television. Some of our clients are developing their own magazines. Some of our clients want a documentary about them. Those are some of the things we do. Excellent. And I do have here up on the screen, learn more. So go check out the website, learn more about what they do, because maybe they're the right thing for you to get you to that next level. Now, you did mention a freebie for us. You want to tell us? I know you started talking to us about it, but I'll throw the link up here and tell us what they're getting. You're going to get a template for what I use. And it's, again, I sent it to Tiffanie, I sent it to radio, I sent it to television, I sent it to people who host live stages. They want to know why they want you. So here is a template. There's a one sheet as well as a video template. Model it, use it. And if you want us, we can create it for you. It's a template you can use. And if you're saying, I'm just starting out, I only got 4 things. Well, top 4 reasons people listen to you. Make it compelling. And that model will give you an idea of how to create yours. And if you want to get in touch with me and explore if we're the right place, talkaboutpublicity.com. One word, no punctuation. Talkaboutpublicity.com. It'll take you right to my calendar. Book a call. That's what I do. I'm retired from chiropractic. I'm retired serving entrepreneurs. Let's see if we can serve you. Talkaboutpublicity.com. And that just reminded me, because I used to have a thing that I would have my referral sources to send on my behalf when my first book came out, the 4.5 Reasons Why to Have Tiffanie Speak at Your Event. I'm still going to have to pull that back out, dust it off a little bit. It hasn't been that long, especially now that everybody's going back to in-person networking. They need to remember how to do it. Yes. Yeah. And it's a brilliant title for a book, Tiffanie. Thank you. Some people are like, why is that? And I'm like, because 5 is boring. Yes. And there's an actual reason behind it. But yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Richard, for being here with us to share any last thoughts that you want to leave the audience with when it comes to profitable, powerful publicity.
Yeah, no matter what you do it with elegance. I was looking at a website this morning. I say it looked like I used to say an eighth grader designed it, but they do really good work. Maybe this is a third grader.
Mm,
How do you want to show up in the world? You want to show up in elegance, so people say, "I choose you."
love it. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks everybody for watching. We will see you again next week to help you create more abundance in your entrepreneurial world.